Woo! Welcome to another rainy day here in... Sorry, just checking. Why isn't this working? That is plugged in. Oh, lords. Sorry a minute. I cannot seem to make this work. Charger, come on please. That's not doing it. Hold on. For some reason that wasn't charging, but now it finally is. Okay, so the reason I am welcoming you, sorry about this, to the Reloved Guitars workshop is for this short, sweet setup of a budget guitar. Now this is a weird Squier, the kind I've never seen before. It's got a Squier gold label. It's got a funny finish on it. It's got obviously the budgety tuners with the sticky stuff on the back, which comes off beautifully easily, and you can clean them up. And it's just grubby. Pickups work, and it's got a hard tail, and as a result a fairly thin body, but also extremely light body. So I'm going to take this thing apart completely. I'm going to just basically in a single go set it up and refurbish it as much as possible with the, given the time available, and just get everything cleaned up and moved on. But there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to set it up really nicely. So let's I'm just going to get everything off. I'm going to move some things out of the way here because we don't need them. That one needs to go in there. Yeah, so that's really weird that I've never seen I don't think I've ever seen a hard-tailed Squier Strat, and it is an absolutely budget-tastic guitar. There is no doubt about it. This is about as cheap as they come. It's not even a bullet, so who knows. It's got crafted in China on the back. There's a CMYH number, whatever that actually means, I don't know, but it's incredibly light. But let's see, back in this is kind of the fun I used to have in the old days when I first started doing this, was just to see just how good we could make this basic simple thing play. I got this just the other day from a seller who I bought, or who sold me an Encore blaster neck, which is here in the spares wood department, or the firewood department. Unfortunately there was a load of issues. The neck didn't arrive. I kind of had to open the case, not because you know how it is, the seller, not that it didn't respond, it's just sometimes it's the only way eBay allows you to go, is to open a case. Anyway, the guy was horrified that he'd forgotten it, and anyway, so he got it to me, but it turned out that the truss rod was seized solid, and I swung on it for hours with what's that stuff you spray on it, not WD-40, stuff like that to free up the, if there was any chance of freeing up the truss rod, that would have done it, but it didn't, so that's gone in the bin. But I sort of I wasn't really that bothered. I only lost, inverted commas, 15 quid. It wasn't the end of the world, and I didn't think the seller was doing it on purpose. He tried his best to get me the thing once he realised he hadn't actually sent it to me. Or it hadn't been sold. It had been sold. He hadn't realised it had been sold. Anyway, so I kind of just told him out of kind of courtesy, but he came back to me and said, but I like this one at a reduced price, and I thought, well, I could use the neck anyway, so I said yes, and so I got this at, I guess, the total price of about 40 quid in total, including, no, yeah, 40 quid, including the postage, I'm factoring in the 15 quid I paid originally. So I was okay with that, and I could see it was a pretty okay basic thing. So I wanted to have the neck as an option because I knew it would be fairly decent. Now, as it turns out, I don't need the neck for any other purposes, so I'm just going to turn it around. Ooh, that's nice, after a fashion. I'm going to take it all apart, just for the sheer finding out kind of state of mind. We might change out these screws and stuff like that. So you might be able to see there's a hole there already. So it's a very basic thing, this. But hey, there's one dent in it, which is here. Might fill it in with something, or I might just leave it. We want a little major dent. Got a bridge that's held down by enough screws down. I'll take it off as well just to have a good look at it. But that's a weird thing, the hardtail. So presumably we've got a ground wire coming out underneath the bridge. He says presumably, I'm guessing. Ooh. 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 Okay. Nothing unusual. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm also going to take out the remove the saddles for now, just so I can get the bridge off. I want everything off just to start from fresh, scratch. And partly because if I'm in the mood, I could buff it to refresh it. So this is interesting. It's got the bridge they've used is a string through, potentially, but it's not doing that. It's got shielding, which is a surprise. It's routed for HSH. Okay. Come back here. Now, it is wood. It had a very flimsy feel to it to begin with, and I thought maybe it was ply or something, but it's wood. Okay, let's get the bridge off. This is not a very right choice. It's halfway and halfway between these screwdrivers. Yeah, so taking it all off gives me a chance to buff it out on the wheel if I'm in the mood for such a thing. Which we could do, there's no reason why not. Much better done outside, but not on a day like today. It's a very standard stuff, small pots. There's our little hardtail bridge. There's our little earth wire, and I'll just snip these off as well. Maybe we'll desolder them. Life. Yeah. Give that a minute or two to heat up. Yeah, I mean, nothing that bad. It's like the James May program that time. We took apart, or I started with the Strat in bits, if you remember, and put it all together. Should have started a big clock running next door to here. So the fastest ever refurb, clean out, setup, but I don't think it's going to be that. I think I've got some other things I want to sort of look at as we go through. Part of that is to see if there's any places where we can improve this little thing for no huge outlay. Okay, that can go off for now. So there we have a decent enough body actually. Let's clean some of the initial gunk off it if we can. A lot of dust from the screw holes, obviously. This, you know, this will make an absolutely fine lightweight Strat for somebody. There's no doubt about it. It's in, you know, good overall shape. And if it plays half decently, then it's a bit of a winner, really. Right. That's the initial gunk taken off there. Let's have a closer look at the neck as we go through now. So, I think I'll throw this rag away in a minute too. So again, a quick clean down from a hygiene point of view. A pin or something on the end there that won't come off, but it's not the end of the world. Yeah, it's got a sort of sealer finish. I wouldn't necessarily call it even polyurethane. It's like it's a factory sealer, but it must have something on there because it's got this logo on it. It's got a nice metallic gold Squier logo. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a sort of going over with the degreaser or the naphtha. Let's see if we can get some of the finger grime out. Frets aren't too bad actually, they'll level out and polish up nicely. I was kind of slightly nervous that I'd do this and find the paint coming off, leaving us with a white wood underneath, but it isn't doing that, thankfully. This rag is definitely going in the bin afterwards. My hands should probably go there as well. Sorry, my shed rattles when I do this. Yeah, it'd be a nice. It's not actually that bad looking. I mean, it looks like black wood more than rosewood to me. That sort of corduroy. Sorry, you rattle as well on the fixing. Yeah, it looks more like that sort of black wood, which is the sort of corduroy of fingerboard woods, more than it is rosewood. But you know, it's perfectly adequate. So the aim of this would be to take an absolutely bog standard budget Strat, even simpler than many of the ones I've seen in here before, and just see how nice it will play afterwards. And I will give it the fret level. That's all part of the deal, you know, because we'll demonstrate just how nicely it can play. We'll take care of the frets really, and the pickups will be what they are. I don't think we've got any worthwhile immediate exchanges or replacements. I may have some, but actually I'm not even really sure that they would be much better than the ones in here. Okay, so within a few minutes we've got a almost brand new looking, well, clean looking neck. The chrome parts and stuff, give a clean up too. Again with a bit of the solvent, the last of the old bottle. That'll do me. Cuts and splits in my fingers, so anything like this hurts usually. Okay, so straightforward, shines up quite nicely. Same here, I expect. Looking at this as we go, it's a budget jack socket. There's nothing particularly good or bad about it. A couple of the screws coming out of this body, or this pick guard on here, were rusted, but most of them good nick. So it's not an example of a body that's rusted. And certainly unlike Chris's Powerhouse Strat that he bought in auction just recently, you know, which had all kinds of, well, not all kinds, but tons of rusted screws all round, which either were as a result of some sort of water damage or were caused by the residual moisture in the wood itself. It's hard to know which, but I think it's more likely a spill. I don't think, certainly on a Mexican Strat, I find it hard to believe that there would be enough moisture in the timber to rot screws. You know, it doesn't seem to me a likely thing, so I think it's more of a spill that happened on that guitar. Anyway. Right, so just giving these a quick clean. I think we are pretty much done with all of that bottle. Vacuum all that up. But yeah, it's going to look very clean and new. Like I say, we could get it on the buffer. I'll have a better look at it. If we needed to, we could, oh lovely, we could buffer it out, buff it out. I don't know why people ever leave these little plastic cellophane things on here. It makes it look cheap and horrible. I mean, it is cheap, but it isn't horrible. There we go. So all of that bit done. Lost it. Okay, so that's good. That's good. Give that a quick clean over. That's most of the, oh, there's the bridge saddles we can just do as well. But that's most of the stuff. I mean, they're pretty clean actually. There's nothing really, no, they've been cleaned already. Okay, so let's have a quick exam of this. Bits away, bits away. I mean, the purpose here is I don't want to spend unnecessary time on this, so I think this is pretty much good enough. I don't think it's worth going through all the trouble of getting the buffer out. There are a couple of scuffs, a dent, and one or two scuffs and little scratches, scrapes I suppose you could call them here, but by and large it's pretty good. And there's some swirls here, like not like it's been polished or something, but you know, that's very good. I think we'll just leave it as that. I haven't, you know, it's not going to pay me much, so I'm not going to put all that extra effort into it. Interestingly, we don't have, they've done the thing here where they've shielded out the what's-its, you know what I mean, the cavities, but they haven't actually put in any link to ground it out, unless it's supposed to do it here on this, but I don't think it does. I can't see any way that it does. So what it really needs is one more lead. If it's going to be any use at all, we really should ground it because it's pointless having it painted out but not grounded. So let's go that little extra distance, extra mile, for which we'll need some wire. I'll use some of this cloth coated wire. I've got a whole bunch of wires here that I must try, that I bought a while back, and I can't remember if they're even vaguely the right kind of wire. So I'll need to pull a few apart and try them. So the tarnished frets are going to get taken care of in the fret leveling process. So we are going to go through two sets of strings for this guitar. One as a sacrificial set and the other one as the final set. But thanks to Sacrificial Simon, as I like to call him, we do have lots of spares, but we do have also quite a few unwound up ones that we've taken off things that I should be able to use as well. So take a bit of black wire. I've got my choppers and my watsers. Oh my god. Working in the shed is like living in their front living room. It's amazing. Okay, well this is a little added, whatchamacallit, bonus. We could do things like change the capacitor over, but I honestly don't think that will make too much difference. But we could go ahead and put a Russian paper and oil one on for fun, you know, just to give it a little bit of pizzazz. In the looks department, make it marginally exotica. There we go. So this is just going to be a grounding wire to the shield to make it actually do something, because otherwise it's pointless. It looks good but doesn't do anything. So we'll attach this to a pot top in a minute. Okay, so we'll come back to here. Everything else looks okay. Got two capacitors on here, one for each of the pots. Over here, it's even got a cable tie on there, which is really sweet. Somebody's gone to the trouble. Which is nice, tidies up the pickup wire. We don't need that bit on it. What am I looking for? Capacitors 0.07. I mean, we've got these kind of crazy green things, but actually if we stick those in there we're going to be taking up so much room. I think we're keeping this basic. It does its job. I'm not in the slightest bit convinced that a capacitor makes much difference in terms of, you know, an exotic, you know, Russian paper and oil thing doesn't really sound any different from a polyester one. These wires feel a little bit on the thin side, but again we're not really here to rewire the whole thing. This is a bargain basement Strat. I'm going to tack this to the top of here. Come on, spliers. Okay, so there's our additional wire to ground out the cavities. We're going to come back through here with that one, but I need a little screw to do the grounding. I'll use one of these little black ones that I've used a million times before. We also, while we're here, we need some chrome pickguard screws to replace out all these crappy ones. Let's make it look as good as it can for what it's worth. Right, now I'm going to pick myself a point where I want this grounding to go in. Now let me just check this. This is actually a form of grounding. It's not brilliantly done, but it is grounding, and as I say, it's no point having it unless it is actually grounded to the common earth. So I'm going to make myself a pilot hole, as it were. Careful. And then I'm going to screw that in when the time is right. Wow. Okay, so we've come backwards. I'll give this a clean now while it's off. Again, it's all in fairly good nick. Nice thing about this is not really going to change anything on here. We're just going to work with what we've got and make the very best of it. Yes, that involves adding a wire here and tweaking something there, but mostly the same stuff. Get rid of this leftover bit of goo. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hook up this earth wire grounding. Get in there. Get in there, get in there. In you go. Thank you. Point that downwards a bit. Wow, that is really soft wood. It's gone in and wow, yeah, it really is soft. It's in there anyway. So back through we go with the jack socket. That feels flimsy to me, but it's just the wires that are flimsy. So jack socket, well, let's do this one first. Bridge earth, going to come up through here. Come on, there it is, bridge earth. Can't see the hole. Upwards through here. Oh damn, that's come out again, hasn't it? Yeah. Lock that in there, that's good. Place that over there. That's sticking in the way. Get down inside there, please. There we go. Good. That and that and that. Right. Some new pickguard screws, or better ones anyway. Where is the hole? Where's the hole? Thank you. So I'm just picking out the nice ones out of the mix. Fine. Right, let's put this back together. all the springs are the same length. Come along now. Pain in the butt. Let's just look, just check where the original marks were for the grub screws to sit. That will give us a sort of heads up on the intonation spacing. It's moved around a bit by the looks of it, but we'll start further out. Okay, that will do. Oh yikes, come on. Now these are budget saddles, but they're perfectly adequate. There's nothing about them. People who spend £200 on a, oops, what's someone doing here? £200 on a set of saddles made out of titanium are, I don't think, really getting that much for their money. I mean, sometimes they look very nice and all that, but these will do the job perfectly well. Providing, in fact, they'll do the job really well, and they won't have the problems that Chris's Telecaster, with its fabulous, look like Graphtec saddles, had yesterday, which is where the strings came up through the body and then caught basically on the side of on the join between the tiny Graphtec tusk insert and the little sort of groove in the centre of the saddle and the edge, the metal on the edge, and it killed the tone completely, or it sapped all the sustain. Oh, what have I done? I shouldn't have done that. Yes, I can. I've got access to all the screws. Yeah, so it was for all its sophistication, it actually was just a problem that had to be solved. But they look great. They're, you know, brushed stainless steel, but actually they increased sophistication and problems really. Still. Hold on, visitor. Hello, visitor. Visitor. Oh, you're in there already. I'm useless. Hello. Oh, so you would have seen that, or you might have seen that behind me. All right, Mr. Morris, you've already arrived, and I'm busy chatting away, looking for you. Okay, so I'm going to screw this back in. Not the best fit of screwdriver heads at the moment, so we'll just be careful as these go in. If in doubt, force it out. Thank you. Oh, on 4, that's quite a heavy load. Right, Morris. Everything good? Right, so, and while we're at it, we'll get hold of this fella, and we'll stick the jack socket back on. Then we'll, oh god, these neighbours. We'll get it into string up mode for the first time, and then we'll probably get a little bit of a listen to how it sounds. And I'm just going to tidy up the ends of these because They're not actually that easy to get into, solder into place. How can it be that a single blade disappears while you're using it? There it is. I don't know. Copper wire. Hello, Morris. Oh, you like the smell of this. This was Thomas's airline blanket when he went to America recently. Yes. You're just hanging out there, are you? Jolly good. So we'll just tin these up. Not very. It's a very fine wire, so not very rugged in terms of holding power. So, right. So for the and these things just do not hold these at all well. It's like a crab trying to hold spaghetti. Right. So we have. Can I even get it close to it? We have, actually can't reach, this is really silly. I'm going to put in the hot wire. Thank you. Honestly, I just better off just leaving it dangle, something like that, because this is, those helping hands are kind of anything but. We'll need some additional solder on this. Hopefully it won't spring right back out. I hate it. Come on now, please. Just sit somewhere sensible, like that. But don't spring back through. I don't know who I'm trying to convince here. Alright, Morris, don't be too afraid. Curly, springy rubber. Right, I need 2 more of these. And they're all a bit rusty. One good one. Everything in there. So how long have we been doing this now? 38 minutes. Doing all right. You lot go away. Look at me. What will I get? Right, it's a hardtail, so I should be able to get away with. I can't even remember where I put them now. One of these sets of something or other. SG10s. SG is a bit short, isn't it? Oh, blimey. Oh, what have we got here? 9s strap. That'll do, if I can keep these damn things unhooked from there. This will be a good sacrificial set. Right, let's reattach this. Quite a snug fit. Pulled the damn thing apart. The blanket, the expensive airline blanket. Oh, my finger hurts. Okay. I'll put the neck plates back in. Amazingly, this doesn't even have any splits in the neck pocket. That's pretty good. Okay, that's that. A couple of felts. This thing came with black felts, but they were worn out, so I'll give it a couple more white felts for newness value. For tidiness' sake. Actually, these were plastic ones, so this is nicer looking. Okay, now this is loose, so we're going to have to fix this. And it's loose because the wood inside is softish, so it's kind of worn out. So we're going to look for a replacement screw that's going to take a bigger bite. If that doesn't work, then a way of doing it is to put some dowel inserts in there, but that in itself can be, you know, it's quite a big deal. Alright, I'm short on those. Okay, I need to get something out of here anyway for another purpose later on, so let me just get 2 of these out. Right, strap screws. I don't suppose there'll be anything really that good in here. What are these? Oh, maybe a bit bigger. There's a chunky one there. Chunky one there, maybe. Question is, do they fit in there? That one does. That one does. Okay, we'll try those out for extra grip. Let's see if we can get it to hold tight. Another way of doing it, people sometimes put bits of toothpicks and stuff in there. Another way is to put some resin in. A bit like putting polyfiller into a hole in the wall. I mean, it works. You might not get the screw out again. So we've just gone up the size. Let's give it another bite at the wood that's in there. This is a bit of a ragged screw head. That's fine. Holding steady. Okay, so we have tweaked and cleaned up. So next thing we need is to get the tuners back in, because we'll need to string the guitar up. Now for this, even though it's a cheap guitar, I feel moved to put a reasonable quality string tree on here if I can find one. A Tusk one costs about £4 or £5 a piece. They're not cheap, and you know, for a budget guitar like this, mostly what I'm putting into this now is time and expertise. I'm trying to avoid losing any money on parts, so I don't like those butterfly ones, but if I were to put on the Tusk one, I'd have to add that to my price. Now I will probably do it because it's important enough to get that bit right. It helps with, keeps the tuning stable, believe it or not. The nut will have a big part in that too, as we shall see. But okay, so now I need my what they call them, you know, these screws. Let's line them up. Put it back to 1. Probably one of the most important tools in your armoury, this. Easy to charge, easy to use power driver. It's got to be reliable, so it's worth every penny. This one was a replacement for my trusty Bosch one, I think, that lasted good 4 years or 5 years even. 4 years at least. And finally gave up the ghost, so I immediately went to Amazon and got this one, which was cheaper, but an almost identical replacement, so it was worth doing. Alright. Okay, that's those on. And there goes the blade onto the floor. When I next need it, I'll know at least where it is. So that's that done, and then the next thing we want to do is tighten these up. That blade has disappeared, so I'm going to get a new one anyway as a treat. Right, that's that taken care of. Now we can load up with some thingy strings, whatever we call them, sacrificial. And what I'll do before I do that is I'm going to mark up the frets. Yeah, this is definitely black wood, or whatever the genus species is, I don't know, but it's the one they've been using in the last couple of years as a budget replacement for rosewood because of the sights issue. There's no, well, it's about to be reversed, so it won't be an issue anymore for guitars, but it looks different, feels different. It's like a very tight corduroy grain compared to rosewood, which is, you know, prettier wood, but I have not noticed it making a blind bit of real difference to the, certainly not to the playability. But you know, guitars is guitars, and some people just don't like the feel of it. Like I say, it won't be an issue because by all accounts they're about to change the rules again. Look at this, let's give them the ghost. Change the rules so that it's rosewood is soon once again going to be permissible for musical instruments, which will, in some ways I guess it will thrill all the major manufacturers and players, but they'll probably be champing on the bit, you might say, considering the lengths that some of these major players will have gone to change their production and their sourcing and their materials. You know, all have been an absolute nightmare for them financially, and to have it suddenly undone. Okay, my mistake. No, that's all right. Yeah, to have it suddenly rescinded, if you like, must be galling. But I guess the big players made it through, and who knows, some of them will probably, same again, busted. Some of them will probably stick with their replacements because they're already in the zone with it. Get sat down properly. Come on, old strings. Do this extra bit of service, will ya? It's kind of hard to get them freed up from the bird's nest. They tend to jam in like that, and then you can get them permanently tangled, and it just becomes more trouble than it's worth trying to reuse them, like that one, too bent. Tell you what. Come on, would you? Actually, when you look at chrome under lights, it's very hard to see what the heck you're doing. Right, let's get some of these on first. Let's see if they hold together long enough to do what we need to do. Now if I don't need to change this nut, I won't, but I will make sure that it's cut to the right height. That's a definite priority. Bennett. Don't run away. Now I've got some other string trees here which are not as crappy as the butterfly one, which might be could find them. So this is the first time I've seen strings on this guitar because it only arrived today. Yeah, it arrived today, so this will be the quickest ever turnaround. But it came without strings, so that's too much. I don't want to wind all that crap on. Old strings, you know that they're just an absolute right pain. Right, let's see, will the G reach without too much trouble? Could I cut it? I could cut the curliest bit off anyway. Problem is, when you've got a curl on the end of a string, you can't actually manipulate it properly. It won't do what you want it to do, so you do have to bend it out one way or another. Just hope that it stays, well, lasts long enough to do the job you need it to do. And then peer through the chrome glare. And final two. Oh, now we're running short. This could be a stretch and a half. And after this, I think we'll have to go for one of the spare ones up there, which we've got. Now, what in a 9 set, what are the top two? Can anyone remember? Is it 9 and 11? Or is it 9 and 12? I could look, couldn't I, on my Ernie Ball packets. Hold on, I will. If this breaks, we've probably got a pair of spares. Oh, goodness me, get in there. Up you get. Hurrah! Yeah, maybe we'll get this one to stay on for. Maybe we won't. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't. Hold tight. Possibly, and I suspect this won't go at all. Too short, too short. As expected, I'll dump that for a spare 9 supplied to me by, amongst others, Christ almighty, Simon's Sacrificial Strings Limited. That's not what they're called. And then you get this problem with the masking tape where you've marked out what string it is, getting stuck, and you can't get it off without crimping the string. But it's only got to last long enough to do the fret leveling. Oh, would you get a move on? No, it's a really bad condition if you were going to play it, but I'm not, so that's all I care about right now. Come on. Oh lordy, get up there. Thank you. Come on. Okay, first thing, placement. Spot on. That is actually perfectly aligned neck. No complaints at all. String trees. String trees. String trees. This is the unloved Strat, isn't it? You know, the black one that nobody likes. Come on, string trees. This will be a shed load of. God, no, these are a bit. These are metal on metal too. Maybe. Right, I can't live with that. That's crap. Somewhere I've got a thing that says quality string trees. I don't know why. It's different from regular string trees. Let's look in here. Saddles, nuts, washers. Where's it gone? Washers, nuts, roller saddles. Nothing. Some pickguard screws. Actually ought to go in there. Tusk string trees. Any other string trees? And there's a kind of another type which is a bit more interesting, a bit more convincing looking. Let's try that. So just a slight improvement. Get it on the right way around for starters. Long ways, long ways. You know, when you've knacked up your fingers, manipulating things can be really difficult. Can't see. Oh, can't see in the light. Can't see up close. That way. No spare hands. Get in there. Get in there, get up there, get in there. Oh. Where's it gone now? It's spun round and gone out the way. Right, there you are and there you are. Thank you. Okay, get in there. Get in there, get in there, get in there. That's coming off because that's off the side to begin with. Thank you. Okay, that'll do. Okay. Now that is quite a high angle. Sorry, it's quite. We've pressed the string tree down quite a long way, more than we need to on that one. But let's just. We can just let it come back up a bit. If it stays in line. There you go. Right, let's get a tuning. Get close. Yeah. Okay, there's a bunch of things in place, right? Good, we're sort of getting there. Now let's get the saddles cranked down to a workable height. The thing about these is they're going to start pointing downwards, and it might be too far down, so we may have to shim the neck to make the angle work. It's not the end of the world if we keep these pointing downwards. Let's have a look. Let's go to where we need to go. can live with that. Take them all down. Just do this in a hurry for a minute. Let's see what we get to. And then we'll fine tune it in a minute. Action won't be very good at the moment, but we'll just check it out. So now we're going to just check this and set them as close as we can get. 1.5, that's good. Just under, that's not bad. Over, too high. Wrong way. Oh. Okay, 1.4, too high. Oh my god, coughing. Drives me mad. Just under, too low. Nothing. 1 point nothing. Right, tiny bit up on this one. Tiny bit up on that one. Okay, retune one more time. Okay, action at this end's good. Jeez, not heavy enough to even stand up. No curvature in the neck at all, so we need to put a little bit of curve into it, slack it off. Can't actually reach it with this one. Never a lot of room to get into there. This may or may not go curved at all. Because it may not consider that the gauge of strings is enough, but it has put some curve in it. Very small amount, but it'll do. Oh, yeah. A loose thing there going on there, I don't know what it was exactly. With these grub screws, you've got to make sure they're just slightly tightened, otherwise they rattle. Okay, I like that. Now we're just going to go flying into the fret leveling process without even stopping Oh, no we're not. We're going to take care of the first fret action first. That's what we're going to do. I'm going to do that with a combination of my this and that, these files and those files, these and those. Right. So, big ones, next biggest ones, next biggest ones, and so on and so on and so forth. So we've got the action down this end we want, we've got the relief we want, and now we're going to take care of the nut, the first fret action by adjusting the nut slots at this end. Of course we're on a speed challenge, so just getting straight on with it. So let's start with this little fella, the G. Let's see where we're at. Okay, well, let's see if we can do it with just this on its own. We're going to cut backwards. My finger is already damaged from before, so be careful. Cutting backwards and bring it down to the correct first fret action using a backwards slope. Actually, the nut isn't that bad on this in terms of material and quality, so I'm also going to, if I need to, just going to clean it up with a little bit of a working with that one, and if necessary I can use that same one just to take it down to almost the right height, and then I can round out with the correct specialist file just to make sure that it's the right shape at the bottom of the slot, like that. It's actually still got quite a gap, so I'll keep on going. I always wimp out too soon, really. Cut down. It's actually behaving a bit more like bone than plastic, so that's good. I'm happy with that. Okay, that one done. Next one. Not very cutty, that one at the moment. Let's try that one. That's probably even worse. Pretty worse. I've got a better one somewhere. When you do this, you can also get rid of the little burr on the front and back edge. Otherwise it looks a little bit raggedy. Then a little bit of downward cut with the correct file. Still too high. On the mark. Don't worry about the tuning too much, as long as it's close it'll do the job. Okay, measure, gap. Looks like these have been maybe leveled before actually. It often shows up when you put the marker pen on them, so we'll probably just basically be finishing off that job. Cool, that's where I like drop off that one. Change over. First fret action business is very critical to making the guitar play well. It's one of the first things I found out for myself while struggling with a guitar that wouldn't play properly. Close. Yeah, that and the levelness of the frets are two very important lessons I learned, which is kind of two of the main things I'm doing here, getting that right and then getting the frets leveled, and then we'll have a beautiful playing budget guitar that will play better than a ton of guitars that cost a ton more than this. Fraction more. This is a nice thing, you know, when you've got a kind of guitar that nobody expects anything much of. I mean, what you can't really do anything with without spending money is improve some of the pickups, but improve the pickup tone. But even there, you can get you actually can get a lot better stuff for your money without paying huge boutique specialist prices. There are some really good sounding pickups out there for not a lot of money. Happy with that. This is behaving itself, this nut, I'm pleased to say. Okay, this could be just about low enough. That's on the mark. I'm going to leave that exactly where it is. You're done, 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 you're done. So, next bit, fret leveling. Blazing straight on. Okay, fret markers into position, truss rod slacked off, truss rod slightly curved, only fractionally. Oh Christ, and away we go. So truss rod a bit more curved, only a little bit. Okay, first track ready to go. So this process of lightly leveling the frets will bring this fingerboard back to life, as well as free up any choked off frets that are either standing because they're obstructed by tall frets, and or if there are any levelness issues, it'll take care of them. So the nice thing about this method is you can find, if I can find a plectrum. No! Every plectrum I leave out here vanishes. Anyway, it's not the end of the world. Yes, so the nice thing about this method is you can test each string as you go to make sure it plays, so you don't actually have to do any more fret leveling than is absolutely necessary, which in turn preserves the most amount of fret metal for the most amount of levelness, pound for pound, or gram for gram. So here we go. And what we want this to do is, of course, we want all notes to play cleanly, but as importantly we want all bends up at the top to bend without choking too. So I'm just picking up a couple of slightly uneven frets up here, which is good, and we can try them out. And those bends are what matter, and they're clearing up, which is great. So we hardly have to do any levelling at all to free up those choked off bends. You can see a little bit of dust building up in the places where the frets have been high and we needed to take them down just a little bit, and that's the fun part of this method. It gives you very good feedback. You can see exactly what's going on and where the problems were. Okay. Now, had this guitar had a 50mm spaced bridge, it may never have seen the light of day again. I would have possibly kept the neck for another project, and I would have I might have nicked the bridge for another project as well. But luckily for it, it had a 52.5mm bridge, and so it wouldn't be any good for me to steal for another project. Now I'm thinking about this guitar. I think I'll put 9s on it if it's, you know, aimed at a beginner youngster, on the basis that their fingers would be not as strong as perhaps a more experienced player. So we'll go with that as the starting gauge. And because it's a budget guitar, relatively, we'll use some relatively budget strings, just to keep the costs low. Now at this point, because we don't really bend all the way over to this track here, I'm only really concerned at this point on the playing notes. Make sure they all play, and then I'll whiz on to the final 2 tracks, and then calibrating each time as I get there. So this morning I don't know if I mentioned, but I went to the local enterprise hub and checked out. I'd been there 4 or 5 years ago, somewhere when I just started doing this, and I sort of checked them out for possible place to go in and use the bandwidth and upload videos. Unfortunately, at the time, their bandwidth was really weedy. I mean, they were suffering from the same problem that we had, which was, oh God, this is really flat. Same problem we had, which was just terrible rural speed, and as a result, I couldn't upload anything from here. So I used to have to do various things, go and see my friend Mark and get him to very kindly queue and upload a load of stuff on his pretty fast broadband. But it always, you know, I always had to kind of put him out to do it, and then alternative was I used to do, earlier before that, I used to go into Plymouth for a day and sit there and do other admin stuff or whatever, but I'd upload furiously all day, and that was kind of tiring, boring, took the whole day, and it was quite expensive by the time I paid for the Regis office space, or hot desk space, and car parking, and petrol to drive there, sort of 40-ish mile round trip. So it wasn't ideal. But in the intervening years, this place in Tavistock seems to have got an improvement in its bandwidth, so that's positive. And I did a test there this morning and got a 12 gigabyte video uploaded in 90 minutes, which makes it viable on a weekly basis. Okay, we're done in there's a ping there. Check where that's coming from. I seem to have set the intonation just right by accident, which is pretty good. Okay, so what follows now is a boring part. going to take off these ear strings. I'm going to reprofile the frets that I've just levelled, and then we're going to polish those out with sandpaper and micromesh paper, which is going to take a while. So I'll do that off record, off camera, and come back when I'm restringing with new 9s. So these have been kind of used once now as sacrificial strings, so they're going to go in the bin, having done good service. No more shall they work. There we go. So, all going well so far. So, next bit, while we're still on camera, let's put those away. Fret leveling part done. Yeah, next bit, we'll just remark these up and we'll do the reprofiling, which is where we turn the flattened frets into rounded frets again, but without altering the height, so that we preserve the fret leveling that we just did. I mean, these necks, they've even got sort of nice plastic dots on them, you know, even better than your average Chinese freebie replacement neck. Freebie, cheap I mean, which just come with sort of black stick-on dots almost. Don't look very impressive at the best of times. Anyway, so nice and quick going through this process. There's a couple of little marks there, a bit of wear showing through. It's interesting. By the time you've polished it out, you won't notice or feel that. A bit more work on that fret there. You can see that this one was a bit higher than a lot of the others. Sort of being responsible for some of the challenge. Right. Nearly there. So, and part of the reason for doing this, of course, is to show that, you know, a really inexpensive budget guitar can end up being a pleasure to play, as much fun, and in fact, if not better to play than many a more expensive model that you've picked up and put down because it just wouldn't stay in tune or just wasn't fun, or the action was too high, and it was, in the words of many people, fighting you. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is the covering it over and masking it off part of things, followed by the polishing, sanding out, which I'll do off camera. Oh, I can listen to the radio for 5. Zone out because it's all repetitive and boring. This wood doesn't look as nice as rosewood when you've finished and oiled it up, but you know, it's very effective to play on. It doesn't hold you up any. Okay, see you in a bit. Phew, here we go. Right. Set of 9s, please. So, polished, fret leveled, polished out, ready to get a set of strings on it. And here we go. just been listening to the news. I shan't even begin to discuss it. Anyway, so here we have a set of 9s for this nicely set up fret leveled beastie, and this pack of 9s has free high E's and free B's. Could-do. Oh, come on, don't tip over. So we've got 2 pairs, no, a pair of B's. They're 11s, so they're going to go there for a minute. One of those. And then we'll have a spare E as well. Nice. That's a 9. That's a spare 11. Oh, damn. Okay, let's get these stored out of the way to begin with. Probably should just tack it onto one end. That's much better than wrapping it around all of them. And that is 9. No. Oh, hellfire. That was the first one. Yes, that's a 9. And that's 11. Spares. God, it's humid in here. That's British weather for you. Okay. 11. Right. So with that done, let's line these all up, make it easier. Okay, so back a fret's worth over the top of the loose bit, second time round under the loose bit. And after this, then we'll need to stretch the strings out fully, which with hardtail should be fairly straightforward. Once we've done that, be ready to play. got to make sure this lines up. This stupid little string tree thing. There we go. Ugh. Maybe. No, maybe. I can't see it. None. That's weird. See if it lines up when we got this other one on. Right, let's cut off the slack, or the spare I should say. Then the junk. And then stretch these on, get them into place. This isn't actually that thick, that thin a neck. I thought it was pretty slim, but it's medium chunky, which is quite good. Right, let's get a starter note. Stretch time. Fingers are knackered, so I can't really do it very well. Should be alright. Get as much of the slack out of these strings as you physically can before you start playing. That's the secret of this. And the amount that it goes flat is how much stretch you've got. Sorry, how much slack you've got taken out. Just double check the action before we do any more stretching. Well, that's very low. It's even lower. These people doing my head in. Still a bit too flat for my liking. very good. Extremely good, in fact. Alright, I'm just going to do a quick test and intonation check. And remember where I put the what's it. I don't want to play much because the neighbours. So what I want to do is, first of all, let's check the intonation. Shut up, go away. Spot on. Spot on. Right on, spot on the intonation first time. Okay, quick tone test, and then we're out of here. Tone, effects off, clean sound. Beautiful. Perfect. That's all I'm going to do. That's all I'm going to do. That is right spot on. I'm really happy with that. In fact, I might have to keep it. Thank you for watching. Hardtail, absolute rock bottom budget Strat, playing a dream. Actually sounding pretty good too. Those are not bad pickups. Pleased with that. See you again soon.